This is something a bit different, and while I sorta knew what I was getting into, I didn't really. Because this is written by, co-directed by, and starring artist Melanie Martinez, who I wasn't familiar with before this, but apparently she's fairly well known out there. And this is actually kind of a companion piece to her new album of the same name, which I didn't know going into this, and while I did expect this to have some strong musical elements to it, I didn't expect what essentially amounts to a visual album, or more or less a 90-minute music video, because that's really what this is. And therefore I have a really hard time calling this an actual movie. The fact that it only has a very loose narrative doesn't really help in that department either. Because the story here follows this young girl who goes to school, where she encounters all sorts of things like bullies and whatnot. And every few minutes there's a new song and dance about something going on at the school. The songs essentially narrate the events taking place and the inner thoughts of the main character. And the whole thing takes place in this very highly stylized and very pink fantasy setting. And yeah, the actual story here is very loose and there's not that much to latch on to in that regard. That being said, I did like the visual presentation, the production design and the overall look of the movie. And I also didn't mind the music. I thought there were some catchy songs in there. Especially Lunchbox Friends and Drama Club were pretty good. And yeah, the songs in general have this very coherent, stripped down sound. And I would probably call it something like minimalistic pop music. That being said, it's not the type of music I would necessarily seek out and listen to in my spare time. But I definitely didn't mind it, and as I said, I even liked some of it. However, I don't think this music was made for me. I'm not the target audience. And I'm pretty sure this whole thing wasn't really made for me either. I mean, it is technically well made and it is good for what it is. From a production point of view, I don't really have anything negative to say about it. And I can't really complain about the overall quality of what they made here. But I do have a hard time calling it a movie, and I just don't think it was made for me. And personally, I think it probably would have worked better as a short film than a feature-length film. Because 90 minutes for something like this with only the barest of story and character is a lot. So unless you really enjoy the music and just the pure visual spectacle of it all, there really isn't a whole lot to grab onto and to engage with here. And to be honest, this does really raise the question of style over substance. Because there is undeniably a whole lot of style in this. But substance, well, I'm not so sure about that, because I really don't know what it was trying to say, if anything at all, and I didn't find a ton of depth in the lyrics either. I mean, a few of the songs did seem to touch on some more meaningful topics, but overall I didn't feel like they really had that much to say either. So there's not much to the story, and I wouldn't call the characters all that fleshed out or compelling. And there doesn't seem to be very much in the way of a clear message either. So yeah, I do have some trouble finding the substance here. But as I said, it does have style in abundance, and I did enjoy the visuals overall. However, would I recommend this? Well, if you're a fan of Melanie Martinez and her music, probably. If not, I'm not really sure what you'd get out of this, as I'm not sure what I got out of it either. So you can probably skip this one. Or don't, after all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.